Tucked away somewhere in your house, maybe the closet, the attic, or right outside, there's this machine. And it works nonstop, day and night, just to keep you comfortable. It's your HVAC system. And let's be honest, most of us never even think about it, right up until the moment it dies. But what if I told you it's been fighting a quiet war for you this whole time?
So let me ask you this. What do you think is your air conditioner's number one enemy? Is it just getting old, forgetting to do maintenance, a random part breaking down? I mean, those all sound right, but they're not the real cause. They're just the symptoms of a much, much bigger fight.
Yeah, it turns out the real adversary is the world right outside your door. It's this invisible, absolutely relentless force that's always working to break your system down. Your local climate is waging a silent war on your home's comfort. And believe me, your HVAC unit is on the front lines.
To really get what's going on, we have to start seeing the HVAC system for what it is, your home's unsung hero. I mean, it doesn't just blow cold or hot air. It's maintaining this perfect little bubble for you on the inside while constantly fighting off a totally harsh and unpredictable world on the outside. And to really understand that battle, we gotta go to where the fighting is the absolute worst.
So let's zoom in on a place where this battle is just brutal. We're talking about Plant City, Florida. It's basically the perfect case study for a climate that throws everything it's got at an HVAC system. And what happens there? Well, it tells us a lot about the universal challenges that your own system is probably facing no matter where you live.
So the climate doesn't just throw one punch. It's a full-on four-part assault. First, you've got this crushing, sticky humidity. Then comes the brutal, nonstop heat. After that, you get the shock troops, sudden power surges from storms. And finally, there's this invisible enemy, all these tiny airborne particles that are literally choking your system from the inside out. Let's break down the damage each one of these does. First up, humidity. Man, this one is sneaky. Your AC is constantly pulling moisture out of the air, and that water has to drain out through a little pipe. The problem, that dark, wet little tube is the perfect home for algae to grow like crazy. And when it clogs up that drain, the water backs up, and suddenly you've got a serious leak that can ruin your walls and ceilings. It's like a slow, silent flood caused by the very air you're breathing. Next on the list is the heat, and not just the temperature, but what it creates, constant demand. In a place like Florida, that AC might run for 9 months straight without a real break. That's like telling a marathon runner they have to sprint the entire race every single day. This constant stress just hammers the compressor, which is the heart of the whole system. It causes seals to break, refrigerant to leak, and it just fries critical electrical parts. And then you have the sudden ambushes, power surges. A simple afternoon thunderstorm can send a massive jolt through the power grid and instantly cook your system's electronics. The first thing to go is usually the capacitor. Just think of it like the spark plug for your AC. It gives that initial jolt to get the motor running. One nearby lightning strike, and boom, your system is dead in the water. And finally, there's all the gunk in the air that you can't even see. In our Florida example, it's dust from farming. Where you live, it could be pollen, pollution, or dust from a construction site. Whatever it is, it all gets sucked into your system, clogging up the filters and the coils. This basically forces your HVAC to breathe through a dirty rag, making it work way harder and slowly suffocating it. Okay, so we've met the attackers, we know how they're laying siege to your home from the outside, but how can you tell if your system is actually losing the fight? Well, the damage starts to show up on the inside as these really clear distress signals. You just have to know what you're looking for. Your system is literally trying to talk to you. You hear weird noises, grinding or squealing. That could be a motor failing from being overworked. You see water leaks? That's the clogged drain line screaming for help. Are your energy bills suddenly sky high? That's your system guzzling electricity because its coils are clogged. Weak airflow from the vents? A classic sign it's being choked by a dirty filter. These aren't just little annoyances, they're warning signs that it's in real trouble. So how do you actually fight back? The good news is, you don't need to become an HVAC technician. It's really about having a simple playbook. So think of this next part as your owner's manual for winning this war. And trust me, it's going to save you a lot of money and a ton of frustration. Let's start with the big one. Do you repair it or replace it? It feels like such a tough call, right? Well, there's a really simple piece of math that can make it way clearer. It's called the $5,000 rule. All you do is take the cost of the repair and multiply it by how old your system is in years. If that final number is over $5,000, replacing it is probably the smarter financial move. So, for example, a $600 repair on a 12-year-old system, that's $7,200. That's a huge red flag telling you it's time to start shopping. So, to break it down even more, here's a little cheat sheet. On the one hand, yeah, you should probably repair it if the system is pretty young and it's a cheap minor fix. But on the other hand, you gotta watch out for the big warning signs. Your energy bills just keep climbing, or your system uses that old, super expensive R22 refrigerant. These tell you it's not just about today's repair bill, but about all the money you're gonna keep sinking into it. Okay, now here's a tip that will cost you absolutely nothing, but could save you thousands of dollars. It's called the 3-minute rule. It's so simple. Whenever your AC shuts off, just wait 3 minutes before you turn it back on. Why? Because the system needs that little bit of time for the refrigerant pressure to balance out. If you restart it too soon, you put a massive, damaging strain on the compressor, the heart of the system, and you can seriously shorten its life.
And if you do decide that replacement is the way to go, what can you expect to pay? Well, these numbers give you a pretty good ballpark. And the reason the costs vary so much is because it's not just about buying the unit itself. It's about getting the right size for your home and having it installed correctly, which, believe it or not, is just as important as the machine. If it's too small, it'll run forever and never cool your house. Too big, and it'll switch on and off so fast it won't pull the humidity out of the air.
So, we've identified the enemy, we've learned how to spot the warning signs, and now we have a playbook. It all comes down to one thing in the end, just making the right call. So what's the most important thing to take away from all this? It's this: knowledge is your absolute best defense. As soon as you understand why your system is having problems, that it's not just some random breakdown, but the result of this constant war with its environment, you stop being a victim. You become a proactive manager of your home's most critical system.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. That machine humming away outside your house is a hero, and it's fighting a silent battle for you every single day. The real question is, now that you know what it's up against, are you giving it the backup it needs to win?